you're having a great day. We started a new month. This is May, of course. So our health topic has changed to women's health this month, in the month of May. And so we're talking tonight about women's hormonal system. We have a whole month of issues here, so this is a good starting point for the Women's Health Month. So we're going to start out tonight. And again, if you have any questions, you can always put those in the comment sections on Instagram and Facebook. Again, we will post this later on YouTube, Rumble, and Brighteon.com. So we'll have that all listed for you there. So Dr. Mark, that's me. So we're going to go into what is really interfering with women's hormones. So female hormone imbalances are often tied to lifestyle. So many folks don't realize this. They think it's genetic. I mean, that's what a lot of the medics will tell people, it's just genetic. They like to use that as a kind of a get by with everything excuse. Most of it, though, is lifestyle, because that is really what epigenetics is about. Epigenetics is what controls the genes, and that's the lifestyle. That's your environment. That's what's going on in the body. And then the genes are just a blueprint that make the proteins and steroids. So hormones are proteins or steroids. Steroids are, of course, coming from fats. So it's important to have good fats in a diet that are secreted directly into your bloodstream, playing a role in many body functions. So again, what makes the body run is these proteins and hormones, or they're steroidal hormones. So important to realize that and where that comes from. So what are proteins? Well, that's like meats and things like that. There are other places of getting that, but it's important to realize that these proteins and fats, or steroids, are important parts of of your macro diet, of the good foods that you eat. The other part that people forget about a lot, and we see problems with that in here all the time, is well, leaky gut, where the gut is irritated, so there's problems there, or inflammatory reactions to certain foods. Also, just the body's ability to digest. If people have toxic livers, they just don't digest oils and fats very well, or absorb them, emulsify them if you want to get technical. And so you don't get the steroids. You don't produce steroidal hormones because you're not getting the fats under your belt. So it's important to realize all that's going on. Then the endocrine system, which includes glands such as the pituitary, hypothalamus, thyroid, parathyroid, pancreas, adrenal cortex, and medulla, and various produce hormones and ovaries produce hormones in women. So, of course, these all are very interrelated. In later on sessions of our health shops this month, I'll try to bring on a little poster that goes into it, has a little diagram of how these things are all connected. And again, it's just really important to realize you can't separate one. So many women are taking thyroid hormones. So like Synthroid, the doctors think that was the problem. So instead of treating the underlying cause, they just give the body a synthetic hormone, which is okay, but you're not really looking at what causes things. Well, that can cause a cascade of other problems going on in the body where all these hormone interactions get all messed up. So it's important in our world, important to try to look at the body as a whole. And I think that's what goes on here. Well, your lifestyle interfering with your hormonal balance, emotional stress, dietary stress, pain, and inflammatory stress. So emotional stress, of course, that's just how we perceive our environment. What's going on there. If things are going well, it's good. If it's not, it's bad. Emotional stress. And I think everyone pretty well can understand that women have, or I see a lot more women in here that are on anti-anxiety or antidepressant type drugs more than men, because they just are more in tune to their emotional side, and the hormone changes are much more varied in women, I guess you'd say. Dietary stress, one of the biggest problems we see, and especially with this COVID stuff, is that the binge eating, or just stress relief eating, that kind of thing. So we get into eating the wrong kind of foods, thinking that we can get by with it. Well, they'll cause all kind of problems. And in dietary stress too, I like to also look at women who are also doing vegan diets. Now, don't get me wrong, vegan diets are fine. They're a great detox diet, but they don't have very many oils in there. And a lot of that women who are eating vegan only, or even vegetarian, but mostly vegan, that's a little more dramatic part of that. They don't get the good oils that they need. They don't produce the hormones, the steroidal hormones. Also, a lot of times they're low on the proteins too. And so we saw before that these hormones are proteins and steroidal hormones. And if you're not getting the correct nutrients in the diet, how can you expect your body to make these things? So vegan diets are great for a short-term detox type of a thing, which is okay. But then you have to really, and you can be successful at it, but you have to really know what you're doing, and many don't. So just to realize that what you eat. We talk a lot about that here with our patients. That what are you doing the vegan diet for? If you're doing it for detox, fine, but then realize that you can become deficient in the essential amino acids and the essential fatty acids the body needs to make these hormones. So it's important that is a stress too. Trying to do too good or trying to do too bad in one form or another. And then pain or inflammatory is stress. I mean, if you're got a lot of dietary issues where you're having arthritis and all kinds of things going on, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do for that. Pain and inflammation are kind of, again, the body's warning lights coming on that something is going on in there. What's going on? So if you just take Tylenol or ibuprofen or aspirin or whatever and cover up the pain, you're actually making the underlying cause worse over time especially. And these inflammatory stresses, if the body has inflammation, is trying to heal something usually because with inflammation. So just to squish it, that makes the body produce more arthritis or more long-term kind of scarring in the body. And you want to try to handle the underlying causes of these problems, not cover them up with symptom relief there. So addressing hormonal problems begins with changing your lifestyle. Treating hormone problems requires a whole body approach, one that addresses the excess stress and unhealthy lifestyle habits that created the hormonal imbalance in the first place. So again, getting to the underlying cause. So important to look at the underlying cause, because if you're just trying to treat it with Band-Aids and things your whole life, this a lot of times goes on for decades, then you're going to end up with a lot worse problems down the road. There's just a lot of degenerative disease processes that come from hormonal imbalances over time. And we'll get into more of that, I think, later on in our health shops this month. But for right now, just to realize that it's important to get the body to work correctly. That's what we do at Natural Health. And that's why we're different here. We're working at the holistic approach to get the body healthy, using whole foods and supplements that the body is supposed to have to work on. Your body's never meant to have Synthroid. It shouldn't need Synthroid for thyroid. But a lot of women are on Synthroid. And it's not maybe because their thyroid wasn't working right. That's probably true at one time. But why wasn't it working right? You need to figure that part out. So that's why we are a little different approach here at Natural Health. And for example, if you were to only measure female hormones and then replace them with bioidentical hormones therapy, you will virtually be guaranteed to fail because you have not addressed the underlying issues. Again, back to looking at what's causing the problem in the first place. Bioidentical hormones are a little better than synthetic, but again, they're not the whole thing. So like, for instance, the thyroid does a lot more than just produce Synthroid. So you have to realize that if you want the body to be balanced and whole. If you're just trying to have a little more energy, yeah, that's fine. But again, you're not looking at the whole approach to the body. So a good example of that, we have a little character here looking at, I'm cold, tired, swollen, and depressed, but the doctor said I have nothing to worry about because my TSH is normal. Yay. So the TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone, has to do with, is actually a pituitary hormone that looks at if it needs to stimulate the thyroid more. So again, the pituitary connection to the thyroid. And again, there's the hypothalamus that controls, that's part of the brain that controls the pituitary as the master gland. And again, if you're under lots of stress, and too much stress for the body to handle, you're going to be depressed, all the things that go along with that, all these hormone systems will get off that way. And again, bad eating habits, comfort food, that are processed and full of sugars, and not eating good oils, but eating bad oils, that's a negative oil then if you're eating like margarine and all these trans fats and things like that. So there's a lot of things that are important to get the body to balance, to work correctly, and we do a lot of that here at Natural Health. And before I'm about done here, before I turn over to Dr. Chip, one thing I'm noticing too now with the COVID vaccines, we're seeing, hearing lots of reports now of women having a lot more menstrual issues being around people that have been vaccinated. Now, I don't think anybody's particularly sure how this is happening. Some of the, not really venting of the person who had the vaccine, but shedding is a possibility of some of the particles. There's all kind of weird things, and even the women who are vaccinated are having miscarriages of things like that. So a lot of reports of that. So we'll have more information on that as time goes on. A couple places I'll tell you to go to get more information quicker probably is a great resource is called the High Wire with Del Bigtree. You can go to highwire.com, check on their email thing, and they'll give you this report every week. A lot of good information there. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, if you go on brighteon.com and go to his channel, the Health Ranger, he has a lot of good information there too. He's got a little different way he puts things, but he gets kind of carried away sometimes. But he's really good, a lot of good information there. GreenMed Info with Sarah G. There's a lot of good independent sources, but the High Wire really has a lot of good medical information, and he talks about other people that have good medical information too. So a lot of good places to go to get some good information about what's going on with this other stuff going on out there. So I think that's enough for me today. We'll see you next week too, and we'll have more information all month about women's health. Again, having questions, give us a call. Dr. Chip's up. Here we go.
All right. Thank you. All righty. So we're going to go ahead and keep going here. Just got a different perspective of women's hormonal health and how we can go about helping that. So again, kind of the different systems of the body, we want to make sure is that if we have one system thrown out, it could throw out the other systems. And so as a chiropractor, I'm kind of more focused on the nervous system, but the nervous system and the hormonal system or the gland system definitely interacts with each other. And so you would say is that the brain, the spinal cord, the brain and spinal cord, the nerves of the body, that's more of your electrical signals. It's more of that quick signaling to the rest of the body, helping them to know what's going on. So again, nerves, more of a faster impulse there. Now the organs and glands, again, that's a chemical response. So it's going to be much kind of more of a slower transition there or flow there. So it's kind of more that's in your blood. And so that, again, these are kind of the two systems that are helping to balance each other out. But the nervous system, again, that's kind of more of that, it turns make sure to tell the organ or the gland to produce the right hormones or the good amount of hormones, that it's a good, more of a regulation there too. So that, again, helps the body to maintain all the levels of the hormones that it needs to. So again, hormones, many causes. The body is a whole system, like Dr. Mark explained. We like to look at the body as a whole system. Again, if you're just trying to help certain glands, certain organs, certain things, you're forgetting that everything is very well connected, interrelated in the body. So addressing one thing, we need to make sure that we're addressing the whole system. And again, what can throw off the body, like we say before, there's the traumas that we have, physical traumas that can be a lot of different things, falls, breaks, everything like that, nutrition or chemical. Again, what foods are we eating? Are we getting good fresh air, fresh water, sunlight? And then emotions or thoughts. And again, that, like Dr. Marcus explains there too, is how we perceive the world. Everybody's very different in this aspect, and that how they look at different things. One person can be worried about something, the other person doesn't really care about it, maybe frustrated about something, other person is pretty chill about it. There's going to be many different perspectives here, and that's why, it's always good to know those very well. And as we said before, or we've said many times before here too, is that stress often just causes an unbalanced body. Again, too much stress. Again, we need stress. Stress actually helps us to grow, but again, too much can actually cause an unbalance or problems in the body. And so again, we have two different nervous systems, or two different styles of the nervous system, and one could be the more the sympathetic or the fight or flight. Again, it's very helpful in times of big stress. And then the parasympathetic nervous system is more of your rest, calm, relax there too. And so why that's important is that it plays much in our hormonal aspect, and that if we say we need to do a lot of very intense, heavy lifting or work and all that, we need the testosterone to keep going. We need to get that good energy there too. But if we are having too much and we can't calm down that's testosterone again. I'm talking about males here. But just like females here with estrogen, or again, just more of a balance of hormones, if we're not able to balance out the nervous system, we can't have a good balance of hormones or chemicals in the body. So again, we'll just kind of keep going here. Now, I'm going to kind of explain here how the communication from the organ to the brain to the organ, different, how we perceive the world, I guess you would say. And so the organ, again, a lot of times we say organ like stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, all those. But we can also talk about our sensory organs, kind of the eyes, the ears, the nose, your taste, and your touch. Their skin, definitely a big organ here. And so these 5 sensory organs, that's kind of more of how we're perceiving the world, kind of your, again, your sensory input. And so again, when it happens like that, we pick up the perception there, we bring it into the brain processes that information and tells the body kind of what to do, what glands need to be stimulated, what hormones need to be produced, and again, your output. So the brain controls what chemicals are put into the blood via the organs, the glands, to regulate the body systems. And so again, if you would say, say like we ate a big ton of bread and ice cream and all that, we would start to chemically have to stimulate our insulin, there'd be blood sugar levels and all that, and it would have to keep it at a certain point so that we wouldn't pass out. But problem is that that's a big rush of energy, so it'll come crashing down here too. And if we don't have the right inputs or the right nutrition for that to stabilize that, then we have a hard time to regulate that. So again, that's also important in our perceptual environment. So if we're sensing something as bad or sensing something as too much to handle or anything like that, again, that can cause our bodies to keep overproducing these chemicals to where now we're kind of draining out the systems and we get overtaxed. And so again, that's kind of more, I hope that was a good explanation. And again, if you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave those in the comment section. But again, what this is showing us is that our perception of the world and how we kind of see things can also play an important factor in our hormonal health. And so again, that's kind of like when we are able to take a breath every now and then, to be able to relax ourselves every now and then, to take breaks when we need to, take stuff one at a time. A lot of people think that we can multitask, but research has shown is that we're not very good at that at all. So again, just making sure to take one thing at a time can actually help that too. And so again, the central nervous system, or brain and spinal cord, is the conductor. And so again, it's telling all the organs and glands kind of what to do, what chemicals to produce. And so again, if we say like, the TSH levels that Dr. Mark was talking about, if we had a thyroid issue, again, why is that thyroid either producing too little or too much? And that could be because something is not regulating right. And again, that can also be connected with all the other organs and glands too. And so again, this is just kind of more of, let's say, the general definition. It's Gray's Anatomy 29th edition. It says the function of the nervous system is to control and coordinate all the other organs and glands, or organs and structures, and to relate the individual to his or her environment. So again, it's really telling you is that it's based on how we really perceive the world, is that then it can actually influence how our body is producing those chemicals, those hormones, and all that too. And so, again, an analogy you could say is that like you go to the pharmacy, you get the chemicals needed, and again, that's not a bad thing. Sometimes you kind of need that in a emergency situation, or your body is not handling something right. But your brain is the inner pharmacist too, in that all the chemicals made outside the body, all the medications and all that, there's a receptor on the inside of the body for that. And why is that? Is because your body's able to produce those chemicals if it's balanced correctly, if it's taken care of, if it's doing all the right things, such as the physical, the kind of moving, nutritional, eating the right foods, and then being able to regulate our thoughts and emotions too. And so if that's not the case, then again we can have a disruption in the system, causing ourselves to think that we need a lot of different things outside. But really, a different way to see it is that if we balance out the body, the one that's actually doing the healing, then we can help the body to restore their proper levels of hormones and everything like that, so that we can have a healthy, normal life there too. So I think that is it for me. Yep. So again, you can always follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Parler, Brighteon, and YouTube at Natural Health Quincy IL. You can please subscribe to our email list if you would like to know more information. We are located at 2000 Jefferson Street in Quincy, Illinois, and the number is 217-228-2040. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you gained some good insight here, and stay tuned for next week. Thanks.